Yes, I done a job.
Good morning and welcome to the Northern Territory in the Black Indigenous Business Resilience Program. Today we're welcome you all to the Yarning Circle, and we've got a very interesting subject today. The guest for today is me, and I'll be talking about advanced futures. But let me start first by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land upon which we are meeting and talking today, and paying respects to our elders past, present and emerging. I'm on Gimoy Wallaburra Yidinji country in Cairns, far north Queensland, but I acknowledge all First Nations people, our elders past, present and emerging, and extend my respect to you, your family and wherever you are today. So today is an interesting topic because I'm going to be talking to you about what is advanced futures, what is the digital economy, and things like that. But a bit of background, my name is Julieann and I'm part of the Tagai Management Consultants team as a senior consultant. And I have been living and working in the space of advanced technologies for about 4 or 5 years now. In my previous life, before Tagai, of being involved in launching the first in the world virtual reality experience bus and then building advanced technologies using mixed reality. But as part of Tagai, we have a great offering around advanced futures and what we're doing. So I'm just going to share my screen because I've got a bit of a presentation today. A part of it as well is about kind of debunking some of the myth around what advanced technology is, what advanced future is, and what not to be fearful of. But also, you know, how can we look for the future and what we can do in business with, you know, with areas around advanced futures and advanced technology. So we're going to be going through a couple of things today. We're going to look at digital disruption and disruptive technologies. Now, these may be terms you've heard, or you may have heard about the digital economy. So we're going to be talking a bit about that today and what does that mean. We're going to be talking about what actually are advanced technologies. What is the power of social media? Because within social media, we also have advanced technologies, which is called artificial intelligence. And what does that mean for your business? And also we're going to have a bit of a look at what are the future of jobs that are being predicted by a futurist and built around advanced futures. But also there's an element within your business to consider as well, you know, on how do we pivot and things like that within your business. Okay, so Tagai Management Consultant, we actually have an advanced futures arm as well. And just to give you a bit of an idea, and I put this up to show you how we've pivoted within Tagai as well, especially during COVID-19 and what that meant for us and how we had to turn to a lot of virtual platforms to deliver, which is about the future. So one of the areas we do focus on within our advanced futures is innovation and technology integration within business. And that's not just for Tagai, but that's been with quite a few businesses that we've worked on. Now, to give you a really good example of that is the In the Black program. So Tagai had been working on the In the Black program as a business resilience and, you know, to help Indigenous business to grow. But when COVID hit, we had to pivot. And we had to actually build that into a virtual platform and how we were going to doing that using the power of social media, using the power of artificial intelligence, but also using those mediums to get as much information out as we can, including still holding talks like this in yarning circles, but doing it virtually. And that's how we integrate innovation and technology within business. So we also have a look at what you're doing and how can you pivot using that type of platform. The other thing we do is advanced technology design and development. So that's being able to project manage and build mixed reality products using virtual reality, which is goggles, and augmented reality, which is 3D imagery and sometimes holograms. The use of artificial intelligence, robotics, and advanced manufacturing, which I'll talk to you a little bit more about what does that mean. The other thing that really interests us is the education and research around this, because a lot of people will talk to you about artificial intelligence, which at the end of the day, it's data. And how do we have a problem? And sometimes artificial intelligence can actually help that problem using that data and data intelligence. So, but what is important about that, especially for us as TAGI, is ensuring that our people, or all people, actually have an understanding of that. What does it actually mean? Because we've got all of these terms, but people may not understand what that means, but how they can build that within, not just for themselves, for the community, for the people in schools, and how do we align that coming into the future with jobs and with their business. So we also partner with leading research institutions as well. Another thing we were on was an innovation alliance, which had partnered with QUT, CSIRO and Charles Darwin University, where we were looking at culturally led, Indigenous led projects on country or whatever it was, but having a research element to that as well. So it's about that cultural integration with education and research, which we find is very important as well. So that gives you a little bit about TAGI and what we do in the space of advanced futures. But I want to talk to you about these things first, because you may hear all the time, we live in the digital economy, and people go, what does that mean? What does the digital economy mean? But we've seen it firsthand, because COVID-19 has actually forced us more into the digital economy, because it's about online connections with people, businesses, devices, data, all of those things, because it's how we use emerging technologies and emerging digital into our business. Now, there are things what you'll see on the left, which is called digital disruption. Now, what that means is virtual platforms have come on board to use, and they've taken away other forms. Like the other forms are still there. Like, for instance, Uber, like that was non-existent a couple of years ago, and we just used to catch taxis or catch the bus. But then all of a sudden, someone had a bright idea of creating an app where people could use their own vehicles to create their own business and economy. And people could access that through like a ride-sharing platform, which is Uber. So that's what you consider a digital disruption. So they disrupted the mode of transport by using an online platform. And did you know the company Uber has got no real physical assets? So they don't have cars themselves except for their private cars, but all of their business is done through an app. But the other thing is that's given people an opportunity to actually have another form of economic, financial independence by using their own vehicles. The other thing you may have used as well is Airbnb. That's a digital disruptor, because people are giving up their own units or their houses and using those as rentals. And, other people, and even if you're renting a hotel, you can also still do that from Airbnb. Now, Airbnb was one of the fastest growing companies in the world, and they don't own any assets as well, because it's all digital and it's all online. One of the other biggest things is actually Netflix. Now, I'm a self-confessed Netflix addict. I don't watch a lot of commercial TV. I watch Netflix, or you might watch Stan. So these three examples show what a digital disruption could look like. And then people get a bit scared, it's going to replace this and it's going to replace that. It does replace some things, but other things are still there. Like, I still love going to the movie theatre. I still love going to the movie, sitting there with popcorn, watching the movie on the big screen. But I also love Netflix. So it's just another way to look at what disrupts digitally. Another term you may have heard of is disruptive technology. Now, disruptive technology is the way consumers and business and industries operate. And how do we disrupt? Disrupt means to make something different, to cause a bit of a gap or a big explosion in what we could have done another way by using forms of technology. But there's a good and a bad in everything. But the good of disruptive technology is unbelievable. So what I've given you an example here on the first left-hand is a 3D printer. Now, 3D printers are pretty cool, they're awesome. We're seeing little bits and more, but 3D printers are actually being used now to 3D print organs for bodies. Now, if you're someone, and if you have health issues, and you've been on a waiting list for a long time, things like this, as they grow more and more, might give you the health options that you may not have always had. And we're also 3D printing houses overseas at the moment at a fraction of the cost to building, but they build the outside. So we still need people to build the inside of the house and to do the maintenance of the house. So they call it a work in partnership with what we have and what we have for the future. The other thing you'll see on the right hand, that actually is called, this is a part of a sea leg, which is part of they come in different forms, you know, where people they may have lost a leg or a limb and they have an artificial limb. This technology is using robotics technology, where it actually will help the person for that artificial limb to work more effectively for them. So there's another thing called an ecoskeleton, which is completely amazing, which I found a few years ago in my technology research, where, you know, the ecoskeleton is for someone who can't walk. And it actually, you know, it hooks on around the waist and it has calipers up the legs, and using robotics technology and artificial intelligence, it actually then lifts the person up and enables them to walk. And, you know, those types of options for people are phenomenal. It was very expensive, but the way technology is moving ahead now, it's just going to get cheaper and cheaper. And if we have options like that, that gives more opportunities for people to make informed choices for themselves. The other one, which I love, is virtual reality. So virtual reality is where we create, if you can think of your own 360, so full 360 movie that you're watching in your goggles, and that's all you can see. So you're completely immersed in that environment, which actually gives you the options. You may have seen it in gaming, but we've used it for other ways, like education tools or, you know, motivation tools and things like that. But they're actually using virtual reality and augmented reality to help people with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, people who are coming back from the war who have severe PTSD, but they're able to use these technologies to help people in those environments, even phobias, things like that. But they still are working with key people like psychologists and psychiatrists to help to build these things and to help to manage that after, because technology isn't a complement to other things. We're always going to need a human element. That's what I tell people too. We're not going to lose humanity. Technology isn't a complement to what we can do. The other thing is, you would have seen, like I put the little buzz one there down the bottom, is a drone. And Domino's are delivering pizza via drones. But we also use drones in work with rangers or in areas where people can't get to physically, but a drone can actually get in there and have a look at the way land is, you know, what's happening with climate change and all sorts of things. There was, I think we're using them up in far north Queensland, or we might be soon, to actually track crocodiles in the ocean. You know, so they're using drones to go out and have a look, because we've got quite an issue up here in far north Queensland, as well as the territory, with our crocodiles. So if they can use this type of drone technology, then we're more aware of what's going on. The other thing you'll see is a driverless car. Yes, you'll ask yourself, what will happen with a driverless car? That still is, that's actually still is a bit of a way of coming, but the thing is as well with that, is going to change. So driverless cars will come, but it's still going to come in the future. So now let's go to the next one. So I hope that that's, you know, that's the thing. We have been using this stuff for a long time. It has been around for a very, very long time, disruptive technology, because the thing is as well, what you'll realize is, with disruptive technology and artificial intelligence, you may remember when we used to have a typewriter. I learned to type on a typewriter that was like that. We then moved to a personal computer. That's disruptive technology. The other thing is, I had one of the first mobile phones. Now that was a big brick phone. I don't know if you remember that. Some walked around with that big thing on their hand. And then we were all up in arms. You know, people like, oh, mobile phones this, mobile phones that, you know. But the thing is, we are so focused on, now we use mobile phones for everything. But did we realize about that all was disruptive technology all of those years ago? You know, basic typewriter. And email, when we used to handwrite all of our letters and send them in the mail, then all of a sudden we got an email. So what we do as a human race is we just kind of move with it. Some people choose not to. That's okay too. But we just move with this disruptive technology and digital disruption. Now, a lot of people get scared of this next one, artificial intelligence, and they think, oh my gosh, what is that? You know, are they going to take over? They're going to take over our mind. And they're real comments that I've actually had for a long time, you know, about that, you know, about artificial intelligence. But did you see that robot vacuum there? That's based off artificial intelligence, because it actually can scan your room and know where it's gone and know where it doesn't go. Now, I used to own one of those vacuums, and I'll tell you what, for someone who used to run a business and have a family, they were the saving grace sometimes. But back then, I actually didn't know that was artificial intelligence. The other thing is messenger bots. So if you're on Facebook and, you know, and you've clicked on something and you'll get a message directly to you, that's artificial intelligence. But what drives that is a person who's actually typing in little questions or responses that may go to that person, or that person may ask. So they're predicting, they're preempting. You know what I mean? So that's artificial intelligence as well. But the thing is, with artificial intelligence, it's all about data, you know, and how do we use the data to solve a problem? How do we look at a solution? We may have an issue over here, but what can we solve that? And sometimes we actually can solve that problem using data, which comes from artificial intelligence. And you'll see also too, like, and people talk about this all the time, you may be talking to someone about a subject, and the next minute it'll come up in your Facebook feed about what you're talking about. And I remember years ago when that was happening to me, I'm like, are they listening in? Are they listening into our conversations? And things like that. But that's another form of using artificial intelligence, where they actually are listening. But actually what is happening is, but then they're putting things on your feed that you may be interested in. The good part of that is you can actually say no to that as well. You can go into your privacy settings and have a look at that as well. The other thing is, you know, when you're driving along, you might see cameras, or you might see, you know, your lights and things like that, you know. So, but what's really important with safety is they'll have cameras in the streets. Now, those cameras will send information back, you know, to whoever's watching that to watch, you know, for safety and, you know, security. And that's all using artificial intelligence. So we've actually been using artificial intelligence for a very long time. It's just becoming more developed, more and more and more. And it's the same thing with robotics as well. It's just being used more and more and more. So it's nothing, you know, there are some fear elements with it, but the thing is, we won't lose our humanity. We're always going to have a human element to everything, because with everything we develop, it actually needs someone to help with that. So we're always going to have someone behind the scenes doing something, creating something, making sure things work so that they are in line with what we need as people. So we're never going to be lost to this forever. We're always going to be there because, you know, in my view, it's a complement to things that we already have. Now, the power of social media. Like I said before, with the In the Black program, we've used the power of social media to get the word out there. Can I tell you that the short space of time of, we've nearly been going for 3 months, for a 3-month program, with all the videos that we show, you know, all the yarning circles, the campfire yarns, you know, putting a spotlight on Indigenous businesses, we are using the power of social media and different platforms. And we've had to pivot that within this, but we've had over 100,000 views and reach of people watching this. You know, when an Indigenous businesses comes on a Friday and they do their live video with me or with Murray Saylor, our managing director, do you know that the view capacity for that is thousands? So what that means is, by using the power of social media and virtual platforms, we're able to globally show what that business is doing. And we've had views coming from all over the world, where places we've got, oh my gosh, people in Texas are watching, people in Europe are watching. And what that does is it actually puts a spotlight on Indigenous people and communities and business where we may not have had that before. You know, and we're able to set up, you know, a closed Facebook group for our Indigenous businesses. We're able to put information through. We're able to use platforms that people have never used before. So it's also a teaching method to say, hey, we've got all of these things that we actually can use, which will boost your business, boost the profile of your business, plus give you all of this information you may not have known before, using the power of social media. So don't be afraid. There are good and bad and everything, but within business, we've got to actually think of, well, how do we increase what we're doing in business using the power of that? I want to give you an example too. You may have heard LinkedIn. So all platforms are for different things. You know, Facebook, we can tell a story, we can show photos, we can show videos. Instagram, we can do the same, but a lot of people use Instagram for photos because it's visual and things like that. The other thing we have is LinkedIn, which is a professional social media site that we use. Can I give you an example? When Maurice Eller, our managing director, posted something about, he was on a new board for IATSIS. And, you know, you put it up to show people because it's a celebration thing for yourself, for the business, and also it gives an opportunity for who you're on to get some publicity as well. Do you know that within a couple of days, he was over 5,000 views on that one post? You know, we were like, oh my gosh, but then what that did was that directed traffic back through to IATSIS, because then people are going, what is IATSIS? The other thing it did, people are going, who are Tagai management consultants? So then we had more hits on our website, more responses, more people asking questions by sharing something like that. And the same with me, I put something up about some digital innovation. Within a couple of days, I'd had over 6,000 views. So it's amazing how much the power of social media can help your business. You know, the other thing you have to be aware of is also what you put on social media, especially if you're in business or in a job, because the other thing to that is people watch what you do and watch what you say. Now, I'm not here to tell you what you put on social media. That's your business. But just be aware of that as well. You know, if you're putting stuff out there and you're in business, or if you have a job and you're not very happy, I've seen people put stuff on there really not saying nice things, which then, because it is public, your photos you put up are public and people can access those. So you have to be aware of that as well. So with your business, positive stories, showcase what you're doing. Use it as a pride thing. Die to shame as well, because in business, you know, for us to grow, we have to publicize and be proud of what we're doing. I said previously in my talk around, you know, entrepreneurship and women, you know, we have to be our biggest fan, and we also have to be our biggest fan with business, if we have a business. So that's about showcasing what we do. And the power of social media is one way to do that. But in the next one, actually, I want to talk to you about what's going to happen, you know, what disruptive technology and digital disruption will do on a whole for different businesses. And as we see, digital disruption has changed the face of how we have a mode of transport, whether it be Uber, whether it be taxis, the same with Airbnbs, motels. The thing is as well, there are some things that aren't as used. Some people will still do, some people aren't using as much. Some of the things that are starting to, but they've pivoted as well in their business. So newspapers. So we've seen a drop in decline in people buying newspapers because we can read them online. We can read blogs. You know, we've got computer software now that are writing news stories, you know, so just beware, not as people, many people are buying newspapers. Recruitment agencies, they are still going well and they're still going strong. But now we've got things like Seek, Jora, LinkedIn also for jobs. So people are going to those online platforms to look for work. The other thing we've seen a decline in is postal workers, because a lot of people are actually sending online gifts, or they're buying gifts online and getting them delivered as well. So there is a decline in that. The other thing is libraries. I used to be an avid reader with a book. And some people love a book, but mine has been replaced with a Kindle, or I have an app on my phone where I can read a book on my phone. So it's those things as well. Or Wikipedia, where we can get so much information online. Recipes, how easy it is to type in Google and look for a search for a recipe. than have our cookbooks. I still have some of my favorite cookbooks, but I actually can get those recipes online as well. But I still keep them because sometimes I like to open it up and they're full of food because I've been cooking and dropping food on them. But anyway, just things like that. The other thing is the manufacturing industry. Because we have, you know, advanced manufacturing, we have 3D printing. But the thing to remember is we still need people for that. We still need people to actually help to program these things and to build these things. And yes, we are losing some truck driver jobs in the mine with driverless trucks. But can I tell you, with one driverless truck, it actually creates 3 to 4 jobs behind the scenes because people have to build the program. You know, people have to code that program. The trucks still need to be built. There's maintenance. We still need someone to fix the trucks. So even though one job might be taken, then how do we actually educate or upskill the people for those 3 to 4 jobs that one job may take? So it's not all doom and gloom. It's actually another way of the future. Like we stopped using those big typewriters of how I learned to type to a personal computer. Now taking my laptop everywhere I go, but mostly taking my phone where I go, because that also is a computer as well. So just as long as you know, we do move through these things. We learn how to adapt as people. Who would have thought COVID-19 would have had the effect that it did on us? And it was detrimental, and businesses did lose, and a lot of people, you know, had a lot of issues, and there are so many social issues. And I'm not taking the emphasis off the social issues that we have. I feel that in my heart. But the thing is, COVID also taught us that we had to do things differently. It also gave the earth a chance to breathe as well. So just keep those things in mind. But when I was doing a lot of research around, okay, what are the things of the future? What are the jobs of the future? What are they going to look like? You know, will have, I've put these up here around the future of jobs, but can I tell you, in the next probably 10, 15 years, the biggest percentage of jobs are still going to be in the healthcare industry because of NDIS. So we're still going to need all of those. We're still going to need patient care. We're still going to need all of those jobs. Okay, so they're growing incredibly. But I wanted you to have a look at, because this is just an idea of what you could look at, even how you look at what you do with your business, or if you have children, you know, what they could look at. We still are going to do a lot of, because we are connected to country, but how can we use artificial intelligence, data intelligence, drones to help us? How can we learn, you know, how do we store our information? How can we store our language, you know, so that they're here forever? You know, what can we do to do these things? But the top 45% of skills like required in disruptive skills are engineering. So they're the STEM. So, you know, science, technology, engineering, maths. It used to be STEAM. STEAM is coming back because it was science, technology, engineering, arts as well. So it's still coming back. It's still here. But engineering is one of the biggest ones we're going to be more pushed into. Cloud computing skills and product development. Because now, when you take photos on your phone, you can store them to the cloud and you won't lose them. They'll always be there. Whereas I've had stuff where I've kept on my computer's died. I haven't done a backup. Yes, I didn't do a backup. And then all of a sudden I've lost all this information. Whereas now we're saving things to the cloud, but we need people to actually design and develop that. And data and artificial intelligence is what we need, because data is king. Data has got such an important purpose in where we go to the future, where we go as people, where we go as business, is those things. But there was a futurist, his name is Thomas Frey, and I've put a source of the link below that you can look up for yourself as well, because all of this stuff is sourced. So I haven't just pulled it out of the sky. I've actually gone and researched all of this stuff and found it. But 20 common jobs of 2014, and these are the names he's given them, like robot Sherpas, because we are going more and more to robotics. Even in agriculture, we are using robotics technology in agriculture, and the way farming is done with their machinery and things like that. But like I said, these are the jobs. So as you can see, there's still the human element as well as the technology element. You know, maintenance and monitoring, they still need to be doing that. You know, suppliers, programmers, like I said. But there's also business developers, because someone has to promote that as a business. This is the data junkies, the artificial intelligence, you know, data detectives is what they call when they're looking at all of that, you know, data scientists are really, they're going to coming more and more. People are choosing to go down the role of data scientists. You know, ethicist is really interesting because we still have to have a major ethics component to data. That's the important part. So we still have to have ethics in all of this. You know, brokers, you know, monitors, who's monitoring the data, because the data then has to be explained. What does that mean? And what does that mean for people, for communities and business? So we need that as well. Mixed reality, virtual, like I was talking before about virtual reality and augmented reality. Did you know I wanted to roll out some training, you know, previously about teaching mob or, you know, about business, but also how to teach people how to build, you know, technology. But I couldn't actually find a trainer to deliver that, you know, and we did a national search for a trainer. There were a few, but they're already in jobs. But that is such an area because we also want to train people on how to build this tech. You know, we wanted to, and that actually is because that's about economic outcomes. You know, if you can build your own tech and all that sort of stuff. Plus, it's good for other companies as well to build as well. People to design it. I'm great at project managing it. I'm great at concept design, but don't ask me about coding. Don't ask me about building the product. That's other people. So we still have a massive skill shortage in all of these areas, and we're finding that now because as we grow, the skill shortage is huge. So consider this for your business or the future. The other really big thing is, you know, you may agree with this stuff and you may not agree with this stuff, and that's okay because everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Everyone is entitled to their own belief. But whether we, you know, the thing is we're going to have more space exploration. I think there was an announcement not long ago of all these millions of dollars being put into space programs, you know, and that's what the government does, and that's okay, that's the government. But then how do we as a people, as a business, you know, grow with this? And this is what we're going to be needing in the future. 2040 sounds like a long way, but we're nearly at the end of 2020. And we've seen how quickly time goes. So believe it or not, 2040 is not that long away. Because if you have young children now, where are they going to be? Or even if you're young in business, where is that going to be? Like, I hope I'm still around in 19 years. I'm sure because I'm very young. But that's still not that long ago. So, you know, we're going to need space mission planners. We're going to need people who are on the ground with the cargo, with the prep. We're still going to need people who can read the weather patterns, because there are weather patterns. We're going to need people who are going to be able to analyse on the ground during, like during, and then post when they come back. And that's all that data analytics. What does that all look like? Space experience designers, because we know that, you know, people like Richard Branson are trying to do a space program, you know, for people to go to space. When that happens, I don't know. But we're going to need designers. We're also going to need ethics again, so space ethics experts, because ethics will always come into this sort of stuff. So that's the end of my presentation today. I hope that I have given you a little bit of an insight to advanced futures and what that could look like, you know, and what's up there. But know that we have been disrupting for a long time. We've actually been having new things happen for a long time. We now have cars that run by electricity. We have, how many caravans have solar power on top of them? You know, so we have been disrupting for a long time. We have been using technology for a long time. So from me to you, thank you so much for listening today. I hope that I have certainly put a light on the subject to it for you. I also hope that you've learned a little bit more. And please feel free to ask questions. If you have any questions, you know, you can shoot down below. If you comment deadly, if you're watching this on Facebook, you can shoot the word deadly and one of our team will come on and have a talk to you. If you're watching this via YouTube, you can click on the links below. But we are delivering this as part of our Northern Territory in the Black Indigenous Business Resilience Program. And we thank you for listening. But tune in again for Friday, where we put a spotlight on Northern Territory Indigenous businesses. But thank you for listening. But let me finish where I started by acknowledging all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, your families, ancestors, elders, community and people. and have a great day.